Well, there's no way for me to sugarcoat it, so I'll just come clean and admit it. I was wrong about Need for Speed Unbound. So much so that I'm here making a video talking about just how wrong I was. I was extremely critical about this game when the screenshots and trailers started to release, and rightfully so. It's no secret that I have trust issues with Criterion, especially given their disastrous attempt at rebooting the Most Wanted series, a game which I also have a retrospective on linked down below in the description if you're interested. But that's besides the point. I finally got the opportunity to try this game out through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate so that I could finally find out for myself just what it was I was missing out on. So this video will take a look at the good and bad of the latest entry in the franchise. So sit back, relax, and open your minds. This is why I was wrong about Need for Speed Unbound. So let's start with the elephant in the room, and that'll be the visuals. Unbound delivers some of the most photorealistic visuals that we've seen thus far in the franchise, and with advancements in technology, those said visuals will only get better with the coming releases. This is due in part to EA making the move to exclusively release the game on next-gen systems and PC. And all too often I see people talk about why studios still choose to port to last-gen, and in my opinion I would say that's because the current-gen systems released during the pandemic, and given the current state of the economy, it honestly makes sense that last-gen still has the larger user base. But make no mistake, a last-gen port of this game would be nothing short of a miracle given how graphically demanding it is. I would be willing to bet that changes would have to be made to get this game to work on the older hardware, either in the quality of the port or the game design. Undercover, Hot Pursuit, and the Runs Wii ports all come to mind in this scenario. But circling back here, Unbound's visuals are in my mind a spectacle that raises the bar for the entire franchise. The attention to detail in the car models, the environments, and the weather effects, it's just nothing short of beautiful. But at the same time, some may argue that the focus on aesthetics has come at the expense of being able to appreciate the detail-rich environments and cars. The main emphasis on the cartoonish art style of the characters, the tire smoke, the nitrous burn, and the other vanity effects on offer sometimes overshadow the graphical fidelity of the world. Now, the next thing I thoroughly enjoyed is the customization, and like I said in the beginning, I didn't exactly trust Criterion to deliver a deep customization system, especially given how poorly done they were in Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted 2012. But Unbound excels in providing an extensive and detailed customization system. You've got the freedom to fine-tune every aspect of your car from performance to aesthetics. Options such as the drift button, downforce, and traction control can be applied on a car-by-car basis as opposed to having one global setting across all of your rides that you constantly need to adjust. But despite the wealth of options that are on offer here, I just can't help but point out the lack of innovation. If you look at this customization, it seems way too similar to Need for Speed Heat. Additionally, it seems like some of the customization aspects just feel more cosmetic than performance-driven, which in my opinion almost limits the impact on gameplay. But given how bad they were at customization systems 10, 11 years ago when they released their last game, I'll take what I can get at this point. Without spoiling the story, Unbound involves your former friend turning against you, taking everything from you and forcing you to grind and work your way up to get your payback. The story shows similarities to Most Wanted 2005 in terms of the plot and pacing, and adding the racing and pursuit experience to the story, it shows Criterion have learned from past mistakes and improved since Most Wanted 2012. The controls are tight, responsive, and accessible to almost any type of player. The addition of motion blur to the game options also really captures the sense of speed, making races and chases feel incredible. But I also need to mention one of the notable drawbacks, and that's the repetitiveness of the missions. Most Wanted 2005 was plagued with its exact problem, with the objectives almost becoming formulaic over time and leading to a potential sense of monotony. A more diverse mission structure could have elevated the overall gameplay experience in both of these cases. At least in Most Wanted, it was remedied by the fact that the game had arguably the most difficult police in the franchise, but the police in Unbound by comparison are laughable. In the first two Heat levels, you could be doing 65 miles an hour and they still would not keep up with you. Things pick up quickly though, especially at Heat 5 when the heaviest of cars and helicopters are sent your way, not to mention the abundance of roadblocks and spike strips. Now when it comes to the multiplayer aspects, Unbound's online experience is a massive step up from Need for Speed Heat, offering 16-player online sessions, 4-player parties, and plenty of activities across Lakeshore. When you've got a whole server full of people flying across the highways and dodging traffic in the fastest cars in the game, the world comes alive. However, it's a bit of a mixed bag when you remember how much it was lacking for the first couple weeks after the game was released, and this was due to what I honestly believe was a complete accident during the game's development, and that was the lack of police in online free roam. Yeah, I'm not joking. Police were patched into the game shortly after, but early on, the world of Unbound just came across as less explorative and more confined, with nothing for the racers to do aside from crash into each other instead of the police. Now, the biggest question mark on this game was the reviews. This was Criterion's first Need for Speed in 10 years, so it makes sense that players like myself would have doubts as to how this game would perform. And initial reception wasn't so warm, receiving mixed reviews from both critics and players. Now, yes, the game has great visuals, controls, and customization, but the lack of innovation in gameplay and a somewhat predictable narrative just sours the experience for a lot of people. And for those saying that the narrative isn't predictable, play the ending cutscenes of Heat and Unbound side by side and then come back to me. And it's no secret that Unbound serves as proof that Criterion has learned and grown since their last contributions to the franchise, pushing visual boundaries and delivering fun gameplay. However, when you put it against the nostalgic classics like Most Wanted, Carbon, and Underground, it falls short in terms of the emotional connection to the player due to the story and the reputation that the last few years of games have built. So to conclude here, I'm man enough to admit that I was wrong about Need for Speed Unbound. It's undeniably a visual and auditory feast for the players. Its strengths lie in its visuals, the gameplay, and the customization. And while we will continue to beat the dead horse for it not surpassing the revered classics in the franchise, it does succeed in offering a fresh, modern take on the Need for Speed formula. But whether it becomes a fan favorite ultimately depends on your appreciation for the series' evolution and the balance between visuals and gameplay. And for those flocking to the comments to ask where the significance of my in-game license plate comes from, it comes from exactly where you think it does. So with all that said, were you initially apprehensive towards this game when it was announced and first released? Let me know down below, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel for more retrospective content on racing games just like this. Time's running out for me to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers before 2024, so I'd appreciate it if you decided to join my community. But that's all from me, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in whatever video I upload next. Take care.
Yes, I'm so glad I made this social account. I found this guy. He does viral video blogs called Vlogs. In this one, he's driving along the highway and he sees a sign that says roadworks ahead. And then he turns to the camera and says, "Yeah, I sure hope it does."